Well, she could have been a movie star. She never got the chance to go that far. Her life was stole. Now we'll never know. Welcome to the John DuLong Show. Welcome to episode number 28. Yeah, Kelly Rowland reference there at the top of the show. I heard that song recently, just in life, and I kind of forgot that it existed. What a weird fucking song. Just like really, like overly upset about like, I don't know. It was a really weird time. Just Kelly Rowland's singles career period was just really strange. Never seemed to have... I think it was just like whatever she was doing with her hair just wasn't working for her. Like it was just like this weird like red mom cut. Like it was like the mid... You know, it was like what middle-aged Midwestern moms would do with their hair. You know, with the same coloring. I don't know. Where am I? What's going on? Oh yeah, welcome to the John DuLong Show. Welcome to episode number 28. I'm John DuLong. So glad that you're here. Come on in, take a seat, all that normal stuff that I say at the top of the show. This is going to be a strange one. To be perfectly honest with you, I am recording this one a little bit on a bit of a time crunch. Normally I have a bit more breathing room in terms of recording these shows. I'm just like I'm in the thick of it right now in terms of my school. I've got what's probably the biggest project that I've had yet due in the next week or so. So I'm recording this on Friday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, for tomorrow is the Revenge of the 5th. But, I mean, as you're listening to this, you've already gotten through that. And you made it out on the other side, and I'm proud of you. I'm very, very proud of you. So anyhow, I've got some pretty major school type deadlines on the go. Then also on top of that, I've got some like personal deadlines in terms of some writing projects that I'm going to go ahead and just say kind of foolishly took on. So, you know, it's busy. It's busy here on the at John DuLong HQ, but we're getting through it. We're going to get through it together. We're going to do it together. It's going to be lovely. It's going to, at the very least, be a show. I can't speak quite whole hog for how good it'll be, but if you were looking for quality, you've come to the wrong place. I just realized now that I've recorded this whole intro, and by the way, the intro took me 4 or 5 times to get through because I was looking for some sort of snappy thing to say, and I also accidentally said that it was episode 18 at first. So, you know what? We're just going to have the little buzz of the fan going on in the background this time around. We're rolling with it today. I think that's what this episode is all about. It's just rolling with it. Sometimes there are a lot of things that I need to say on these intros. Sometimes there's not a whole lot to say. Sometimes I'm just filling up time to get on to the next thing. What am I going to talk about today? Little bit on Liverpool. Of course, I'm recording this before Sunday's game against Chelsea, so I don't know. You could Google that right now if you were so inclined. But of course, there was a major game over in the Eternal City in Rome, so through to the final. Exciting times. I'm going to go over how I feel about that, how I feel things are going there. Also going to talk very, very briefly about this is going to be a strange one, the Knox County Republican mayoral candidacy. Yep. The nominee is out. We're going to talk about that. I promise it'll make sense eventually. There's a few people who listen to the show on the reg that are just like, yeah, I know what you're going on about there, John. I know who you're talking about there. And then also I'm going to talk about Kanye West because why not? Old Kanye being wacky. I've got I'm thinking about putting out like this new segment on the show, and it's going to be like tentatively titled like John comes up with a weird conspiracy theory and wonders how long it takes for that to actually become some sort of pervasive knowledge amongst the conspiracy theory type people. Because I'm not a huge conspiracy theory guy. Honestly, like, you know what? We're on the topic now. I'm going to talk about it for a sec. Flat earthers. How is this a thing? Like, how? This is one of those things that absolutely boggles my mind. Okay, like the moon landing being a hoax, I can sort of understand why people will cling to that one being a conspiracy theory that was fake, blah blah blah. That it didn't go down the way that the government says. I can at least see the dots of the logic there. Same thing with the JFK assassination, Martin Luther King's assassination, John Lennon's assassination. Basically, any major assassination, I guess. I can connect the dots in those conspiracy theories from there's an actual reason, right? Like there's a reason why people would believe that the United States would have wanted to fake the moon landing. I mean, it was the way that the America sort of won the space race, put the first man on the moon. Russia had kind of beaten them to the punch on a lot of major milestones in terms of this space race. So, like, the United States is the first one to put a guy on the moon, and then I can see, based on the pictures, how the untrained eye would be like, that seems sketchy, and I can see how that conspiracy theory starts to form, right? Same thing like the assassination of JFK. He's supposed to be in with the mob, and he's supposed to be in deep with the mob, and supposed to be really problematic for people in the U.S. government who feel that he was maybe a little bit too soft on communism, blah 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 blah. I can see that. The FBI is not too big a fan of Martin Luther King Jr. They kill him. I can see that. Ditto for John Lennon. I can understand that one. Somebody draw the line for me, because I don't want to go researching this shit, because it's just I don't have the energy. What would be the benefit of a global conspiracy that the world is flat, right? How in the hell would that ever be enforced? You've got some of the most powerful people in the world that can't keep the fact that they cheated on their wives secret from the news media. How the hell would we be keeping something a secret of this magnitude secret? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Which I suppose, it's a conspiracy theory. Are they ever going to make sense? Probably not. No. We're going to move off of that for a second. I'm going to talk about, it's springtime. It's nice to be seeing some real nice warmer temperatures here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I actually put up my air conditioner for the first time last night as I'm recording this, just because it has been super humid at night. It's I think the hottest that it's been so far has been 17 degrees, which is a fairly reasonable temperature. It's still a little bit too cool for my liking for shorts, but it's a reasonable temperature. It's not too bad. You can go out with a nice light jacket, but you can skip the jacket if you want to. You know what I'm saying? But just humid at night. So I don't know. We're coming into that period of time where it's really difficult for me to breathe at night. I get pretty bad hay fever allergies in particular at the beginning of the spring, which kind of roll right through onto it'll peter off usually sometime in mid-June is when it sort of either my body gets used to it, or I just stop noticing it because it starts to get hot, or there's less pollen in the air. I'm not really sure how it works. But overall, I don't know. It's nice to maybe it's just that I'm moving forward in my life right now, and everything's sort of looking like it's all coming up Millhouse. But I'm looking forward to this spring, man. I want to get out there and do some stuff this spring, which is actually going to be this week's question. Last week I did the first email prompt. Asked you to email in with your coffee shops, which I'm going to talk about that in just a second. I got one email back from longtime listener to the show, Jen. And by longtime listener to the show, I mean that I know that she just recently listened to this episode and probably fell off for a little while. Hi, Jen. Hope you're doing okay while you're listening to this at work. Possibly looking at me while you're doing it. Quit Quit creeping. Just stop it. Stop it right now. Anywho, that's going to be this week's question: is what do you do in the springtime? What's the first thing that you do, that activity that you go out and do that makes you really feel like spring? I know for me, man, it's just that first day where the ground isn't too wet. And the grass is starting to become quite green. We're I would say a good week or so off of this right now as I'm recording this. And it's a sunny day outside, and you can just sort of sit in the grass with a book. That's or whatever, a musical instrument or whatever. That's I don't know. That's just it for me. That's just like sort of the perfect first thing to do in the springtime. So that's what my question is for you. What's your first springtime activity? What do you absolutely need to get out of your system in order for it to feel like spring to you? You can email into the John Dulong Show, johndulangshow@gmail.com, and you'll get your email on the air, just like Jen, who emailed in with her pick for a top coffee shop. So Jen writes in, I like Cortado in Hammond's Plains. It's hard to get to by bus, but it's amazing. I'm just going to interject in here. I just double-checked. I took a look on the old Google Maps. Yeah, it's pretty hard to get to by bus from where I'm at. Looking like the better part of an hour, certainly 3/4 of an hour on two buses in order to get out to Hammond's Plains to check out this coffee shop. But I also took a little perusal at their menu, and it does look pretty phenomenal. They're a tasting bar for coffee, so that's an interesting sort of take. It's the Cortado Tasting Room. 4.5 stars on the old Google review. I guess it's named after a Spanish origin general term for a beverage consisting of espresso mixed with roughly equal amounts of warm milk to reduce the acidity. So kind of like a latte, I guess, but basically the word cortado is the past participle of the French verb cortar, to cut, in the sense of dilute. I'm reading from Wikipedia and pronouncing all of the Spanish incredibly terribly. Anyhow, Jen continues. Trust me, sir, you know how I love my coffee. See the coffee mug you made me back in the day. And it's true. Jen is... Okay, so Jen and I have had this relationship where when I first met her, she was my boss, and then we were colleagues on the same level, and then she was my boss again, and then we were back to colleagues on the same level. Then she was my boss for a while, quite a while, like a couple of years, and then I since have stepped down to agent level, so she has very little to do with me anymore in terms of actually for overseeing me as an employee anymore. Anyhow, once upon a time, when we were colleagues, we and a few other folks and our project manager, a few other coaches at the time, we all went out to the Clay Cafe down on Quinpool, and the idea was to do travel mugs at the Clay Cafe, and we all drew names out of a hat, and each did coffee mugs for each other. It was supposed to be like little travel mugs with the lids, because those are technically the ones you're allowed to use at our workplace. They didn't have these sorts of coffee mugs at that point in time, so we actually ended up doing just sort of whatever coffee mug we happened to want at the time. So Jen and I both did these huge beer steins for each other. We drew each other just by chance. And Jen... I still have, in fact, the mug's right here. So on one side is a picture of the liverbird, which is, of course, a Liverpool emblem on the patch and everything else. But for some reason, and I watched her do this, she picked the right paint according to the number, because of course the paint looks different when it's being applied versus when it's actually fired in the kiln. She picked the right paint, and it was supposed to come out to be like the bright Liverpool red. It's purple for some reason, but that never bothered me. I quite like it. But then on the other side is